You are listening to the ParkFlyer podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the ParkFlyer podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the ParkFlyer podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always is my good friend
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And we're excited because Mike is down here visiting me this weekend. We're going to do a whole podcast on that, I think, eventually. But And fortunately for us, we have been mentioning in the last few podcasts is that Philip Hinkle, who was able to come down and visit me during one of his trips and go fly with me, went to a dawn patrol, I think, down in Miami, and we are lucky enough to have him on the podcast tonight. So, Philip, welcome to the ParkFlyer podcast.
Welcome, Philip, from the tundra of Wisconsin.
That's pretty funny. Now, the last stuff that we got on your Facebook page said that it was snowing up there. Did the snow finally deteriorate and leave you?
But it hasn't gotten significantly better. It is warmer, but it's every couple of days more rain comes through. And like today, I think the high was in the 50s.
Nice.
Hey, that's what it was here today.
Really? Well, if it makes you feel any better, we're both in shorts and T-shirts. It was 90 degrees yesterday. So
be quiet.
And I'm sunburned, in case you can't tell.
Yeah, you look like you've been in.
I look like a lobster, basically. Yesterday is actually worse because I had that reverse raccoon look, for my glasses. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, the raccoon look is what I sport when I go to AirVenture.
There you go. That's funny. So, well, you have helped us out tremendously with our ParkFlyer podcast listeners group. We appreciate that. It's a Facebook page that you kind of spurred and got a hold of, or actually created, and that's actually something that you've done in the past, right?
Yeah, I've created a few different groups. I did one a while back, Old Guys, Drone Guys. I helped another person start it, and it was basically because we were in the drones and we didn't like what Rotor Riot was doing. And so we started a page where we didn't have to listen to all the crap from the little millennial crybabies and all the things they were doing to break the laws and do things they weren't supposed to do.
Hold my beer.
So it was good. That one piled up over 2,000 members in just a matter of a couple of months. So that was pretty awesome.
Well, we are well on our way, I think, thanks to you, and we really appreciate that.
Well, we do need to get guys more members.
Yes, we are promoting it as often as we can. I actually just ran into a guy at the field yesterday who was visiting and told him about it, and he was all excited. So hopefully we'll see him join in before too long.
Well, when I was down in Miami, I passed out the cards you sent me to all the guys there, and hopefully once this gets live and they can listen to it, we should hopefully pick up another dozen or so members for you.
Well, that's excellent. Well, good. Well, I think this one is releasing fairly soon. So now you went to Miami, obviously, not to get into your personal lives, but you went down to take care of your mom, and while you were down there, you were able to visit a club or actually participate in I think the Dawn Patrol is what they call it, right?
Right. I didn't participate because I didn't have anything to fly, but I got to go to it. Yeah, I was down to take care of my mom for a week to give my brothers a week off because they care for her pretty much round the clock. We sent her to daycare during the day, and I kept her home for a few days. And then on Thursday and Friday, my brother says, we need to get her back into the routine. She's going to daycare. We don't want her thinking she can just stay home whenever she wants. And so
You're ruining it for us.
I thought the Dawn Patrol dates were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but they were Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I drive all the way out there on Thursday, get there. There's like two guys at the field, and they're putting their planes together. And it's like,
this is a huge event.
Yeah, man, you guys are really killing it.
You beat the crowd, though. That's the good news.
Yeah, they told me the thing was the next day, and the rain was starting to come in at that point anyway, so I just turned around and left and came back the next day. But Everything was huge. There were no little electric foamy,
Right.
These were scratch-built, almost every one of them, and they were all running massive gas engines. And I think there was one guy there that had a plane that had been in like Top Gun or something and won awards, and it was just some really crazy big stuff. And you can see from the pictures and video that I put on the page, they were some significant planes.
Sure. That's actually kind of neat. When I came back from Jay's, I got to go attend the 1/8th Air Force, and it was very similar. They had some World War I guys out there, World War II guys, but the airplanes were, at least 1/8 scale or bigger. So yeah. I felt really small with my 72nd model, but not really. But mine was my A10 was the smallest thing out there.
And I believe in one of the interviews, the president told me I think their club is like 25% electric. So they're usually when you get into the gas, you're a lot more hardcore because most of those are builds. And so they're a fairly decent-sized club down there.
Well, good. Well, we're excited to have them. What's the name of the club that you were at?
I think it's the Aero Modelers of Perrine.
Okay.
AMPS, Aero Modelers of Perrine. Yeah, AMPS RC, I believe is what the name is. The president will tell you what it is in the interviews that we recorded. Right. But I remember way back years ago when I lived down there, I think I bumped into some of their folks flying at some point in my adventures when I was down there. I used to build ultralights, and I know some of the folks used to every now and then pop in and fly a little bit around the place we flew the ultralights. And I don't know if it was some of those same people, but I know there's a pretty active little RC community down there.
Well, I think there's a lot of RC communities in Florida.
Florida, absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff coming out of that direction. So
if you go to their webpage, there's a dude on the front page that has like a half-scale jet that flies off their 900-foot runway. So
that's amazing. That's crazy. Well, what did you think of the event overall?
It was interesting. It wasn't as big as I thought. I thought, it's like I picture these events and they're just like 50, 60 pilots and stuff like that. But there was probably on Friday, which was the small day, there was probably about 8 to 10 pilots. And I think they were saying there would be as many as 15 or more there on Saturday because it's World War I. And the only people that really fly those are the hardcore, serious modelers that have been doing it for a while that really know how to build. And it's just, I wouldn't say it's out there, but it's almost like a fringe part of the hobby because it's more difficult to get into and more difficult to do. So I guess one of the person that helps plan events, and I can't remember if I interviewed him or not, but he said he wanted to start something for just these folks where they can come out and fly just those planes and be surrounded by people enjoying that kind of talk and that kind of flying for a weekend. So pretty much if you wanted to fly at that field over the weekend, you had to fly something from World War I. And so it wasn't a huge event, but it was growing in popularity. I think they were picking up a few pilots every year. And there was one guy who's a regular that comes down for it now every year and has friends down there. He comes down from Tennessee all the way to Miami and brings a plane or two with him and flies. And I actually did interview him. He was a quite fun character.
Very cool.
Now, I feel challenged.
Why is that?
Well, because he said only the serious guys are doing that. And I feel like I'm serious.
Well,
maybe I'm going to have to go out there.
That's true. But, to Philip's point, you can pretty much go on the webbers, right, on the websites nowadays and find every 3D airplane you can imagine, every World War II airplane you can imagine, every kit that you're making. How many World War I kits are really out there? With the exception of, I think Hangar 9 has one or two. I think they've got the Fokker or whatever, the DR2 or 10 or something, and it's pretty large. It's matter of fact, right as you and I were talking about this Dawn Patrol, and Tony, one of the guys in my club, had picked up one of those, and he was out at the 1/8th Air Force flying this big, third scale World War I airplane, and Spencer got a chance to fly it. And Spencer came back and went, wow, that was really cool flying it, but I'll never own one because it's just not the type of flying that he does. I mean, this is very scale. This airplane doesn't rip around like a jet or like a World War II type airplane. The Jennies and the Fokker triplanes, they got a rudder the size of a dollar, silver dollar, and wings from all over because back then that's what they thought they needed. And it's a very different type of flying. It's a very different landing. It's a very different, aerobatics. And so you're right, Philip, the fact that these guys that come out, they don't have the ability to just buy a ready to launch World War I airplane out of a kit. They have to scratch build something or they build it off of plans because that's what's out there. And there wasn't really a super high demand from the market for World War I large scale. Now, I will tell you that there's some World War II comebacks. I think they're Free Wing and a couple other guys are not Free Wing, but FMS I think makes one or two, and I think that a couple other companies have the Fokker triplanes that are available. Because I was looking at one at one time, right?
Hobbyco, I think, had one.
Hobbyco had a couple.
Yeah.
Horizon released that great big one.
Yep. But the large scale stuff, and we're talking 33%, 40%ers, which are, trailer size. You have to have a trailer to haul it. And,
pretty much everybody at this event either came in a van or a trailer.
Right.
Or a camper.
Yeah, right. Well, my props go out to those guys, and if you're from the club that that produce these, then more power to you. Because finding Jay and I have had this conversation a lot that in today's modeling, it used to be you got a box of balsa wood and some sticks and paint and glue, and you had to make something, and that has gone by the wayside for injection molding foam, and I'm guilty of it too. It's much better for me to buy your Funracer, for instance. We would have had to have purchased that, or we just go out and buy it and slap some paint on it the way we want it and go. And the hobby has definitely changed. So I have more appreciation for those guys because that's where the hobby was before we came around, or when we first started, it was a build your own kind of thing. So they've kind of set the path and kind of paved the way for us to come in there and do other stuff.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be able to build anything like that. I showed you a picture of my workbench. That's all the room I got. So there's barely room for me to repair anything. I remember my first plane that I built was a glider back in the 80s when I tried RC the first time. And it took up my living room floor into my apartment in Fort Lauderdale for like 3 months while I built it. And there was just sawdust everywhere. I'm surprised my wife didn't kick me out. But yeah, this new stuff, like it or not, it's enabled me to enjoy the hobby. I would not be able to do it otherwise.
Right, and I think that that's true for a lot of people.
Right.
It's I see more and more people out, at our club, and I think Jay can testify because we've kind of talked about it. But this gives the opportunity for people who would normally not, sit down and build a bunch of stuff to go out and buy a model to go out and kind of fly. So, when I was in college, and Jay and I were in college, there was a guy that lived between us who had, how long did I say it took? 11 and a half years.
It took him almost
11 and a half years
or something,
to build this Taylor-Craft Clipwing Cub. It wasn't a Taylor-Craft, it was a Clipwing Cub. But, 11 and a half years, him and his dad. It was a project that he started, when he was a little bit older, but, it's something he did with his dad. And we wrecked it in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, Mike talked him into flying it. Yeah, let's go fly it.
That's what happens when you let Mike.
I should go fly it.
No. I didn't maiden it. I just talked him into flying it because the thing was a hanger queen. Man, it had been sitting there with like 2 inches of dust on it. I'm like, we got to get this thing out there. And he's like, I don't know. That's it took me 11 years to build it, and my dad and I
30 seconds
blah, blah, blah.
to crash it.
We went out. He called me up. Okay, I think we're going to go out and do it. So he had this beautiful Cub that he had built from sticks. Carved the wood, grew the trees, and
carved the wood.
He cranked that thing up, and I was like, "Yeah, come on, let's see this." And he took off, and the airplane went straight up, did a nice hammerhead turn, straight right back into the runway, and just nothing but balsa dust.
And I'll bet you today he's not in the RC hobby.
Probably not.
See, if you do that with foam, an hour later and some Gorilla Glue, you're back in the air.
That is true. But honestly, it was a mechanical. He when he put the pilot back in, it disconnected his receiver battery.
Well, that's not good.
No. But somehow so it actually pulled everything apart, but he was able to add throttle. And as soon as he added throttle, the weight shift, that acceleration, it pulled it out the rest of the way. So he thought that he had control, but literally the airplane just picked up off the ground and just started going skyward. And we were like, wow, that is cool. And he's like, yeah, I don't have control over it. And then we just had to watch it come down. And anyway, needless to say, I got a ride home from someone else. So
Too funny.
I don't remember talking to the guy after that either. It's been 30 years. Hopefully he's not listening to this podcast. But yeah, I felt terrible because I talked to him. Because that thing was just beautiful sitting there, and he had done a really, really good job. So you were able to interview some guys down there, which we really appreciate.
Yep.
And
I got
you were
4
able to
interviews.
we could take an opportunity, and we'll see what they have to say if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
All right.
Hey, Philip Hinkle here from the ParkFlyer podcast. I'm a roving reporter for them. Michael said I could do this. I'm down in Miami at the local club, the AMPS-RC, the Aero Modelers of Perrine RC Club down in south of Miami, kind of between Miami and Homestead. And I'm here with the club president, Vicar. I think I got that right.
Yes.
Vicar Hernandez. I didn't massacre his name.
Yes.
And he's going to tell us a little bit about the club today. Can you give us a little history of the club, brief history?
Well, the club started in about 1959. Group of people were flying control line type of models, and they got together. They formed a club. The group started in the Perrine area of Miami, and from there we've moved 6 or 7 times to different locations until our current location, which is here in a location at the edge of the Everglades between Miami proper and Homestead, city of Homestead.
And it literally is next to the Everglades. On my Google Maps, I think if I go past those power lines over there, I'm like in alligator country.
That is correct.
You're like right in the Everglades, so you're way out west.
Yeah, alligator and python country.
I'll stay out of there. I don't think I'd want to crash a plane out there.
Yes, that is correct. And we have a property about 13 acres. And we have 2 runways. It's all grass covered, an east-west and a north-south runway. And we fly all kinds of airplanes. We fly from the little, very small foam electric power models all the way to very large turbine-powered jets.
How long are your runways for people that may be passing through or want to come down here sometime?
The east-west runway is about 900 feet. The north-south is about 450 feet long.
So you can fly some big stuff out of here.
You can fly a lot of big stuff, correct.
You ever had any general aviation planes land out here?
We have. We discourage that because
Yeah.
it's danger to us. But yes, we've had a couple of people flying small airplanes, maybe a Cub or something smaller than that, and that have landed at our field.
Cool. I noticed on your website, which is, give me your website.
It's www.amps-rc.org.
Cool. I noticed when I was checking out for this Dawn Patrol and getting the information, there's a picture on the front page of this massive jet. And it's like, I think I could hop in it and ride. Can you tell me about that thing?
It is a half-scale Hawk. I don't remember the exact model, but it's powered by a very large turbine, and its cost is somewhere around $35,000.
That's like almost how much I paid for my house years ago.
Yes.
More than my car.
Yes. Half of what I paid for my first house.
Just a quick question. If you had to break down the club membership as far as electrics, foamies, up to the big giant scale and gassers, what's kind of the breakdown for people that might be passing through, maybe want to come bring something down or are visiting family and want to bring a plane or two to fly? How will they fit in? Will they feel comfortable? That kind of thing.
I'm sure they will, because like I said before, we fly all kinds of airplanes. I would say about a quarter of our members are flying the small foam electric type planes. The rest is flying anything from glow to gas powered to the turbine type planes.
So if somebody came down with a couple of electric foamy warbirds or something, do you have electric hookup for them to use? Or?
We do. We now have a solar power system that will allow them to charge batteries.
Cool. So
yes.
Do you have any other events this year? I know we've got the Dawn Patrol today. Do you have any other events coming up in case maybe a listener in northern Florida or the southern part of the country wants to come down and spend a day or two down here at a special event? What you got going?
Our next event is August, I believe 29th, which is the National Aviation Day that the AMA is sponsoring. 5 of the South Florida local clubs are getting together, and we're going to do a joint event kind of a thing. We're going to find a local charity where we're going to try to generate some money and help the community. And after that, our next event is going to be sometime in October, which is going to be our jet event, jets only. And then sometime in November or December, we're going to hold what we call Aero Fest, which is an open scale event where anything that's a scale model can come and fly.
So it could be electric, gas, anything that's scale.
Correct.
That sounds like a fun one.
It is fun. We've held that event for the last 20 some years, and it's always been very, very well attended, and we have a lot of fun.
Sounds like you got a great club here. Just for listeners' information, if they're snowbirding down here from up north, or if they're passing through and they're going to be spending a few weeks down here, is there a way they can join your club for just a few months? Because, this is Florida. Everybody snowbirds down here.
Yes,
so
we do have a special type of membership, which is called the non-resident. And that membership is $65 a year. Of course, it requires AMA. You can only fly here if you are an AMA member and a member of the club. Anyone coming down for a very short visit can contact one of the board members. You can go to our website and find our reference. And then we allow guests to come and fly for a maximum of 3 times. If you think you're going to be flying more than 3 times, you need to then become a non-resident member.
Cool. And one last question in closing on a completely different note than the Dawn Patrol. You're an RC pilot. You run the club. You love it. What's your favorite plane to bring out here? If you could only bring one plane for the rest of your life out to the club, what would it be?
I have a spacewalker that I built, and it's a third scale spacewalker from Balsa, USA. From SIG. It's a SIG model. And that airplane, it's my baby sort of a thing.
Everybody has that one plane in the hangar that's your go-to plane.
Yes.
It's always fun to find out what people are flying. So anyway, thanks for the time today. I'm going to go grab a couple more people and see if we can drag them over here and get them to talk about what they're flying today.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, I'm back here with Marvin. You are the Vice President of AMPS RC down here in Florida?
Yes, sir. We are right now at the Dawn Patrol over Miami. Just a little bit of a quick history. I'm 3rd generation in the hobby. I have my buddy Kenny Hurtado with me. He built a Newport 28, and about 2 years ago we started traveling to most of these Dawn Patrol events, and we ended up in Blue Max. And then in Blue Max is where I fell in love with the airplanes, the guys. Hell of a crew out there flying and having a good old time and keeping the history alive on this aircraft that, they're very hard to see around, and they're all builders. These are not really ARFs. So it's bugs with sticks, and then they come out with a beautiful airplane, as we can see in this Dawn
I videotaped a few of them this morning, took a couple shots. They are some beautiful pieces of work out there. It's kind of like the real world too. I go to EAA every year in Oshkosh, and there's like 300 World War II and Vietnam War birds, and there's like 15 World War I ones. There's just not much left.
It's not much. It's actually an amazing job that these guys do to keep this history alive and let people see what really airplanes were back in the days in 1900s.
There's some pretty real looking ones out there.
Yes.
I was just walking up and down the flight line talking to some guys. It's like, man, there's some cool pictures.
Yeah, these guys actually go to the Blue Max, which is kind of the Top Gun or ace of aces of pilots and builders, and they get really serious when it comes into their top-notch scale model.
Yeah, there was
one aircraft.
One over there with the guy by the camper. It's not put together yet, and I said, that's a beautiful machine. He says, it's won a few awards. And
yes.
It's like...
That's Mr. Topa. He flies that as well at Top Gun, which we have.
I've heard about that. It's up in Central or Northern
Lakeland,
Florida, right?
Right, where Sun and Fun happens in that area.
Yeah, that's quite an air show. So tell me a little about what it took to plan this event.
Well, 2 years ago, I wanted it. After going to the Blue Max event, I said to myself, I want to bring this down to South Miami. We don't really have a lot of the guys out here, but I want to be able to get more pilots get involved in here. So talking to the pilots from the Blue Max and a lot of these World War I guys, I opened up a Facebook, which is Dawn Patrol over Miami, and started getting a lot of guys interested, and they said, yes, you have our back. So we have probably, by the end of the weekend, we'll have about 15, 20 pilots, which is actually very hard to get because, like I said, in Miami or down south, it's really hard to get them. All of these guys come from Central and South Carolina, Georgia area. So planning was a little bit difficult because you're trying to do this and like, am I going to get them? So yes, they actually say yeah. Talking to We had Tauro Hobbies, Horizon Hobbies, Panda, Aero Panda, BVM Jets actually did a couple of donations. So we had a couple of good people that actually helped out. And one of the most biggest ordeal thing is that was to try to get everybody here in South Florida to see this event and get motivated to when I do my second event next year.
And that helps generate the excitement to build more of the planes, too, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Well, I think that I did meet one guy over there that's from Tennessee.
Yes, Tennessee. As a matter of fact, you're right, Tennessee.
That's a long haul to fly for 2 days.
Yeah. They actually arrived. I did put. Usually, when I do an event, I like to do it a 3-day event because we have guys that like to come out with a toy hauler or their RV, and they'll stay.
I saw a few toy haulers over there.
Yeah. So basically, I do a 3-day event. They showed up on Thursday night or evening or afternoon, however you want to call it, and they stay in pretty much on Sunday. Later in the day, they'll start driving back.
Wow, that's quite the.
Yeah.
I came down here to visit somebody, and I'm here for a day. I can't imagine driving half of that way just to go flying for 2 days and going back. Although last year I did make a trip to Tennessee, which was 1-day drive to fly for 3 days and head home. But
right.
So anyway, it's really neat what you got going here. So if you guys are into World War I and Dawn Patrol kind of planes, this is the event you want to come to. So let's see if we can get somebody here from farther away than Tennessee.
Yes, and we're looking forward. We have a big grass 1,000-foot runways with plenty of space to have fun. Bring your RV, your toy hauler.
Yes, there's rooms for your haulers, and there's a couple of campers here. You can stay overnight. There's no facilities.
No facilities.
You got to bring your own stuff, but you're welcome to bring it.
We do have well water if the person wants to, take good showers and still get some water. They'll have to have the little bucket so
they don't bring it in off the Everglades, right?
No.
Okay, just making sure. All right, well, thanks for your time, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Take care. All right, I'm here now with Mark. You are the club secretary?
Correct.
So I saw you out there flying. You saw some of my videos that I posted while I was down here. He was the first big biplane we saw flying. You brought 2 of them down. Can you tell us about those machines?
Sure. Well, they're both Balsa USA third-scale kits. One's a pup that was inherited, actually, from the late Merlin Graves about 2 years ago now when he passed.
Was he a club member?
Not a member of the club, no, but a friend of the club, and he lived up in Punta Gorda area. But that was one of his airplanes. That thing's probably 25, 30 years old or something. The other airplane is actually a replica of one he built that I also inherited. That's a Newport 28. But his met its demise, unfortunately, so he built another one and did it up just like he had his. And that's got a DA100 up front for power. It's good fun.
I actually came out here yesterday by mistake, thinking it started yesterday, and you were here setting stuff up, and we were chatting a little bit, and I says, I'm more of a World War II warbird kind of guy, and you told me a story about how you tell me that again.
Yeah. This is World War I stuff's only 2 of my probably 12 airplanes. So I've got also Zeroli C-47, scratch built KI 100 around 110 inches. And a few other, there's a 101-inch B-25 hanging at home, and some other stuff. I like building, so I haven't stopped. And fortunately, so far, the airplanes haven't been crashing a whole lot. So the collection keeps growing. I started...
And that's a problem?
It can be.
First world problems, right?
Yeah. So, right now there's a L-19 Bird Dog quarter scale on the workbench.
Wow, some cool stuff.
And then behind that, there's some other stuff already bought and lined up. So,
I think you were telling me yesterday that you were into the World War II stuff too until you built one of these and got one of these. And
yeah, it's through the inheritance of one of them. I attended the Blue Max up in Sanford, and but a little different group of guys, a little older crowd, real laid back, a lot of fun, a little different style of flying. But the nice thing with the World War I crowd typically is everybody's a builder. There's nothing.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of ARF kits out there that you can make look good.
Yeah, there's starting to be a couple. I think Hangar 9 just dropped a biplane recently that I saw. So they're starting to, but up until recently, the only way to have one of these things was to either buy one I built or build one yourself or something.
Yeah, and I can tell you the workmanship I see walking up and down the flight line today is way past anything I could ever dream to do. Some nice stuff. Your planes look pretty awesome. Now, I got to ask you one question and we'll be done. I asked the club president, and I forgot to ask Marvin, but if you could only bring one plane to the field, forget it's the Dawn Patrol, and you're going out flying for the day, but you're only allowed to have one plane for the rest of your life. What's that plane going to be for you?
I have seen Brian O'Mara's P-47. That thing's like, I don't know, 160-inch wingspan or something, and that thing is cool. It's got to be a 145-pound RC airplane or something. That's the one.
You have it?
No, I don't have one.
But it's not yours.
You want one I have?
Yes, it's got to be your plane.
So I've got my beater, if you will. I've got a 97-inch GB Model Y that's an ARF with a DLE-55 in the front of it. It goes together easy, fits in my van easy, and it'll do anything you ask of it.
And they're a fun handful, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's good fun.
Cool. Well, I thank you for your time, man. Have a good one, and I'm looking forward to seeing you out there tearing the skies up soon.
All right, great.
Thanks. All right, I'm back here with Doc. I actually got to meet Doc as well yesterday when I came out like a dork and thought I had the date right, and I was on the wrong date. And Doc was putting together his particular plane. What did you bring down for the trip?
Well, 1/3 scale Newport 28.
Can you tell me a little bit about that plane? Like how long it took you to build it, where it's from, the details,
Well, it took me about 3 years to build it, although probably only 13 months of that was actual construction time. I get sidetracked.
No, not in the RC hobby. You get sidetracked?
Anyway, it's a Balsa USA. It's highly modified. It has a DA100 engine on it. It's covered with Solartex, painted with latex. Mostly it's full of high-tech servos, and I guide it with a JR trim. It's got a fully articulated scale landing gear on it.
I saw that. It's very cool.
Yeah, I scratch built that. And it's a good flying airplane.
You handled it fairly well out there. I understand you came from Tennessee.
I'm here from Tennessee.
So you got the award for the longest range?
Well, not yet, but I think I will.
So did they give you 2 goodie bags, 2 gift bags since you came the farthest?
No, one of those is marked.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking you should get an award for being the farthest travel.
Oh, yeah. So, it's a 12.5-hour drive to get to Mark's house, and then another hour to get here from there. I'm staying with my friend Mark Armbrost.
Ah, okay. So you just brought the one plane down?
Actually, no. I brought 2. I brought both Newports. I had a quarter scale also. I sold it to a fellow yesterday before I even had it unloaded.
Well, it makes the trip home easier, doesn't it?
Well, it does.
Makes it a little bit lighter.
I won't have so much to put in there.
Cool. Tell me what it's like flying one of those World War I warbirds. I've asked people about their planes, but I'm a World War II warbird lover, and I fly foamies. What's it like when you get out there with
They're a lot
really
different
nice
than heavy iron. They're a lot slower. They're a lot more relaxed, which is good for an old guy like me.
I can relate.
It's I just love the World War I airplanes, and
they sure look good up there, don't they?
They do, and the Newport's my favorite. My favorite Allied airplane. It's got such a pleasing shape. The 28's all round and smooth and everything compared to some of them, but I enjoy flying them. It's fairly relaxing. I don't have a club close to where I live, and so consequently, since we moved to Tennessee about 3 years ago, I've only flown at events, and so I go a couple of months between experiences with the airplane, and we kind of have to get to know each other all over again.
So you only get to fly when you go to events. You don't have a local place like
no place
park
to fly locally. There's a club that I'm looking at in Knoxville. It's going to be about a 90-minute drive, but it's a beautiful facility, and they got plenty of overfly. Enough room for a big airplane. You know.
It's not like you can go to the local schoolyard and fly one of these.
Right. You just can't get away with that with a third scale airplane.
So you don't have any smaller stuff.
I've got a.
Come on, this is RC. You got more than 3 planes.
Yeah, guys. I've been doing this for. Well, I started RC in 1969, so Yeah, I've got a lot of airplanes, but I don't really have any of them are active anymore. I've got a couple of big birds that I fly once in a while, but I don't really fly any little airplanes anymore.
Well, so you pretty much are stuck at events then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was pretty neat you got to come down here for this one. I asked a couple of the other guys a question. I'll ask you the same thing.
Okay.
Throw the Dawn Patrol thing out. Forget we're at Dawn Patrol. And if you were going to a flying event, but you're only allowed to bring one plane, or you're only allowed to own one plane, RC, for the rest of your life, what plane's that going to be?
Oh, wow. That's
your go-to beater that you just love and it puts a smile on your face every time you fly.
I have an Avistar trainer with a Rossi 45 on it, which is a little much for a trainer.
It's overpowered.
It's a little overpowered.
RC people tend to do
but
that.
the airplane handles it really well, and you could fly that in a schoolyard just about anywhere. It's a fun airplane, and if I couldn't go do the World War I thing, that'd be the airplane I'd have, because I could go fly it anywhere.
Very cool. Sounds like a fun setup.
Yeah,
so.
I like to fly float planes too.
Yeah, I have the E-Flight Timber that came with floats,
Okay.
and I've got to put that out on the lake a couple of times, and it's a whole different kind of fun, and it just looks so cool up in the sky.
I've got a Schneider Sport. It's a 60 size, and I have a Sopwith Tabloid that was flown in 1914, I think, in the Schneider races when they were very first started. And it's a 40 size. It's only a 38-inch wingspan. It's a small airplane.
Well, you can take that one to the local pond.
If there was a pond, and I've got a flying boat type of airplane. That's one I designed and built. It's 40 size. Nothing special
Very
about
cool.
it. So.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Doc.
You're quite welcome.
Hey, it's nice meeting you, and you have a great, fun day today.
Nice to meet you, and I'm going to have fun.
I'm going to have fun watching you.
Okay.
Well, Jay, those were some fantastic interviews. We really appreciate Philip for taking the opportunity, and for everybody that participated in the Dawn Patrol. And man, those guys sound like they're really into the hobby.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're definitely really into it. And once again, thanks to our increased budget. Look at this.
I know, right?
I mean,
everybody makes
Mike's
fun
out
of the
visiting
budget.
you. We're here with Philip. He went to Miami to do some stuff. Man, we've quadrupled our budget from last year, our travel budget from last year. I'm really excited.
And I blew it to heaven to you know where.
Yeah, that's right. You
so,
did.
Philip, don't forget to turn in your expense reports.
That's right.
Check us in the mail. I know, right?
Or the Slurpees, whatever.
I will.
Slurpee
As you can see right behind me, there's a big file. I'll put it right back there with everything else that I have.
I think Michael can pay him with 2,200 batteries.
Probably so.
There you go.
A few of those.
We'll
just send batteries out to everybody. It's funny you say that, because I'm almost to the point where most of mine are 6-cell now.
Yeah.
Pretty much we went out the field and flew and had 6-cell stuff everywhere.
It's like, Mike, do you have any 2200s? Yeah, they're around here somewhere.
Yeah, they're buried somewhere. Just dig them out.
Haven't used them in a while. Do they work? I don't know. We'll have to charge them. See what
well,
happens.
when Philip actually came out here, that was one of the things he said, too. I got some of the airplanes that I haven't flown in a while, and I pulled out a bunch of 1,000 and 1,300 milliamp batteries, and he put one in the Mangler, and it was...
I was up for about 30 seconds, and it came down on its own.
It just started out, and then it just kind of went, I'm not doing it, and it landed, so it was pretty funny. But well, it's exciting that you were able to help your mom and attend the event, and you made some good contacts down there, and we really appreciate you taking the time and energy to go out and do that.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can tell you, if you're ever down in Miami and you want a neat place to fly, that is a very well manicured. It's a grass runway. It's like 950 feet, I think, one direction. And then they have an east-west runway that is shorter. They have room for camping if they're having a big fly-in. I think they have 13 acres.
Right.
They have a lot of room there, and it flies right out. If you go over the power lines, you're in the Everglades pretty much.
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
It's a really nice field, very well manicured. They got plants, the pilot boxes are like shrubs, manicured in. I think
unlike the cheese graters we just put in, you know, the big chain link fence.
I think the president told me, I don't think it was in the interview, but he told me later that the cost that they pay per year to manicure and keep the field maintained is probably more than my club here in Madison brings in.
Wow.
Really?
But I think he said they got like 150 members. And so it's a fairly substantial club. So it's a pretty neat facility, and I can tell you if I lived down there in the area, that's where I'd be flying.
Yeah. We just installed a $70,000 runway, so Mike actually was
didn't you just repave it?
We did. Repaved it. So.
Yeah. Wow. Since I was there?
50 feet. Is it what?
Since I was there?
Yeah.
Wow. That would be really nice and smooth.
It is nice and smooth, and the new pilot boxes are all, you know, chain link. They built these little chain link fences instead of those tires that we were sitting on.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been quite a adventure. So, but it's really, really nice.
So now I need to come back out and see it.
Absolutely, welcome anytime. Yeah, actually, you were an inspiration because not only did we do the podcast about you coming down, but shortly after that, I got contacted by another listener. He was able to come out on a Tuesday and go to the park and fly with us as well. So
cool.
Yeah, you know, honestly, like I said, if you're in Arizona, send me a note, and you know, I have no problem going and flying the RC airplanes. It's always a joy and fun for me to do.
Well, what you need to do, Mike, is get up here for AirVenture.
I need to come back up there for Oshkosh.
Fly your little aerobatic plane on up here and land it, and camp under the wing, and you'll have a good old time.
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because most of my airplane would actually fit over at the IAC tent. That's where we all park because we don't really have like a lot of guys will kind of group together. P-51s go with the P-51s, and the RVs go with the RVs, and the extras all kind of just come around the IAC tent or the IAC building. So
I see them. They're right there by the flight line where we watch the flight,
really
the
close.
air show, and I see the RC groups playing there every year.
That's right. Yeah, I actually thought about it once or twice, and but I think if I do that, I'm going to have to bring my spouse because she would have my head if I just flew up there on my own. So she's been wanting to go for a while. So yeah, we'll have to definitely make a trip one of these times. Well, do you have any big events coming up in your area that you want to promote, or?
At the moment, no. I'd have to look up our local club page. I'm not 100% sure when our fly-in is. Mm-hmm. I can get that to you guys when I find that out for sure.
Very cool.
There's a couple other ones that are in the area, but they're usually late in the summer and maybe early fall that are kind of fun. And I think I went to 3 fly-ins last year in the area, the one from my local club and then the 2 like neighboring sister clubs, and had a good time, crashed a few planes and repaired them on the spot, and was a good time.
Yeah. Well, I noticed on our Facebook page you were out flying a new Corsair. Is that yours? Did you get it?
Yes, a friend of mine, I think I mentioned it on the podcast, that had sold me given me my first Warbird. Yep. He had this Corsair, and that's my wife's favorite plane, Warbird, is the Corsair. I says, maybe if I buy his Corsair, she'll go to the field with me. Well, so far that's not working, but it's worth a shot.
See that, Mike? That ain't working. Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. But he had bought it. He'd flown it a couple of times. It was the Horizon one, the 1.2 with AS3X. And so I said, I want that plane. And when I went over to pick it up and I had the money, I says, what do you want? He gave me a really fair price. I came home and took the AS3X receiver out and put my Grotner in and sold the AS3X to pay for a new gyro for my other planes.
There you go.
So it all worked out well, and I was scared of the Corsair because I used to have an 800mm multiplex weekend Warbird Corsair, and it did nothing but spin out of the sky because I probably didn't know what I was doing then. But this thing just flies amazing. It's just
the video is amazing.
That's one of the planes I'm taking out with me tomorrow when I fly after work. So it's a beautiful plane. And that was my maiden flight on that Corsair. So
it looked really good. Well, congratulations. It looked really good.
Yes, it was fun.
And you were flying one other airplane, I think, right?
That day I had my Aero's RC P-51. It's an 1100mm, and those little planes, you get them at Open Hobby, I think. Mm-hmm. And those planes, for the money, are seriously nice planes. They fly, for you, Michael, 3S 2200s right up your alley, man. They have a Bearcat. They have the P-51. They have the T-28, and I think they just came out with one more. I can't remember what it was. But I've heard nothing but really good flight characteristics. My P-51 is just the simplest thing to fly you can imagine. Takeoffs are a little squirrely. There's one small flaw in it. If anybody gets one of those, the Aero's RC P-51 1100 millimeter, there's not a lot of right rudder throw. And the way the wheel is set up, you get a whole lot of wheel but a tiny bit of rudder. So it's a real handful on the ground. But I read some hacks on the RC group forums about it where some people went in and cut away a little bit of foam inside and readjusted the linkage inside on the servo, and I got a little more throw out of it, and I calmed it down, and it seems to track pretty good on takeoffs now. My only problem was my original tail wheel was lopsided and crooked. The hole in it was drilled in it crooked.
Oh, right.
And so as soon as it started getting squirrely, it just went all the way around. So I found an old plane that had a similar size tail wheel, and I drilled it out enough to get it on there, and now it takes off pretty scale-like now. It's much better, and it just flies like a dream. So that was the other plane you saw.
Right. Well, it sounds like you're having a good time out there. You're going to be flying tomorrow. What do you said?
Taking the Corsair
and
my E-Flight T6 Texan.
Oh, very nice.
I've got some plans for a video with that plane. I just need somebody to film me flying it, or I need someone at the field, like maybe our club president who can fly the wings off of anything, to fly it for me and let me film it. What I want to do is I've got a little small Fox Ear Legend, like a run cam, and I want to Velcro it on top of the canopy, on the inside of the wing looking out, on the outside of the wing looking in, on the bottom looking forward, on the bottom looking back, and fly the same pattern over and over and over, and move the camera around each time, and then cut that all together into a video like very few people put up on the internet. Most of the flights are really crappy video from a run cam or a GoPro mounted on your hat or your cell phone, and once you take off, it turns into a speck that you don't know it's there until it comes back into the picture. And I hate those videos, and I don't know how people get so many followers on their YouTube channel with those videos, because really
maybe it's the running commentary while they're videoing.
I don't mind the running commentary, but from a videographer's standpoint, they're like, no offense, people, if you make those, God bless you, and if it helps you, good. But from someone who likes to watch a good RC video, those things are hard to watch. There's a YouTube channel that I really enjoy. Those guys really know how to. This guy, he's from Europe. T. Bobo Rap, I think his name is. If you look him up on YouTube, he does 3 and 4 minute videos of one plane, and he's a really good camera person. Has beautiful stills, and you can see the plane. You can see it doing stuff. And then there's that YouTube channel, the Slovenian brothers from Slovenia.
Those guys are
funny. They're funny, but they film well. You can see the plane doing stuff. And they use the same camera I do, so obviously.
Well, there you go.
But, I enjoy those kind of videos because I can actually see the plane in action, and I can see its characteristics, and I can see if it's getting beat around. And I want to do this one video because I've seen very few done this way.
Well, I know they had Jay just sent one of a 360 or something, right, where they were able to film all the way
If somebody can give me a 360 camera, I got some plans for that too. I'm just
there. You go. Well, if you want to give Philip a Run 360 camera, his address is parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com. Well, when that does happen, we'd love to have you back on the podcast so you can tell us about it.
Oh, yeah, those things are cool. I have some ideas.
Fun to see. Yeah. So. Well, man, it's hard to believe, but our hour is up.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I know.
Pun intended.
Really absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, my entire life flies by, so
we need a plane that's called time.
There you go. That way, when it flies by, you can say, "Hey, time is flying by."
Time flies, man.
Time flies. Excellent.
And we'll make it run on the 2200.
Thank you.
Just for my
that way, Michael can have one.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. Well, luckily he's putting some juice through my 3 cells this week. So hopefully,
you gonna let him fly a 6-cell plane just so he can see how much fun it is?
I let him fly the L-39.
Oh yeah.
Did he do better than me or worse?
I'm going to refrain from answering that question on the grounds that I might
smart
incriminate. You did equally well. Let me put it that way.
The fact is, the plane's still in one piece, right?
Yes,
That's
it is.
If the plane's still in one piece, then he must have done okay.
Correct. And the good news is that both of you were able to take off, fly around the pattern, and land, and neither one of you did a go-around. So
that's right.
So that's good news. And both of you had big grins on your face, so maybe that'll put something in your stocking later on.
I still grin thinking about flying that plane.
And now Jay has one too. So is it still back there? Look at that.
I see it. It's a beauty there. Yeah,
it needs a paint job, but
that's on my list if I can ever afford the infrastructure of 6S and Chargers. So,
well, there you go. Well, we have really enjoyed all the effort that you have given us, and we really appreciate it. Once again, you set up our ParkFlyer podcast listeners group on Facebook. You are a moderator there, so people can see what you post. We appreciate all your posts on there. If you're a listener or a member of our group, please jump on there and post your pictures of your club. Or I think the guys in North Carolina were posting pictures of their racks that Jay has behind him. And so it's fun to see both your hobby room and the planes that you have. We really like to reach out and interact with our listeners.
Did you see the video I posted up there yesterday?
I was
We've
out
been
at
flying.
the field. So
yeah.
you see my face?
Yeah,
I was out in the
flying.
field all day yesterday.
Yeah.
That's
hence the burned.
Just real quick before we go, and if the listeners haven't, it was a fun day yesterday. I didn't get to go flying my planes, but we took a group of kids from our church up to the local EAA chapter for Young Eagle flights.
Oh, nice.
And we had 6 kids go. One of the kids already wants to be a pilot, but he's done it 2 or 3 times. He knows that's what he wants to do. And I was able to get a ride along inside the plane. And so I was able to go, and I made a vlog video about it, of the kids and stuff like that. And so I have a video that I posted on the page. And the even cooler thing was the local news channel was there, and they mic'd up one of the young ladies that was in our group. And basically
Very nice.
the whole news story was on this young girl, and it was really a cute story. And I even was in the background of a couple shots.
Oh, there you go.
So that was really cool. Yeah, the Young Eagles, that was my first time, and that's just a super program. Over 2 million kids have gotten their first flight through Young Eagles.
Yeah, that's something that a buddy of mine participates in as well.
Our club's doing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young Eagles First Flights for Kids is the name of the video. It's on the ParkFlyer podcast listeners group. Go check it out. Give Philip a couple of likes. And, yeah, man, we are off and running this year. We're having a good time. And, man, we're looking forward to some more activities on your behalf. So when you feel free to give us a call and join us anytime.
And if you're not a member there, you need to sign up for the page. Do it now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's it.
I'm your marketing director. That's why you don't have any money.
You've been promoted. Self-promotion. Marketing director. Yeah, we need more people like you. So we appreciate your love of the hobby and for helping us with the podcast. It's always great to have our listeners participate. And you're doing a great job. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for talking to the guys at the Dawn Patrol. And, man, we're looking forward to more reports from you as you get out there into the Wisconsin area, I believe.
Yes, I will have
Perfect.
a few.
Well, excellent. Well, Jay, you got any flying you're going to do this week? You got to mow your field.
Yeah, in fact, I got a generator for one thing.
Nice.
So I need to go test that out. So that's going to be something we're going to be talking about in the future.
Good.
And I also have to mow my field.
Yeah.
So I don't have the huge budget the Florida guys had for the manicurist. I am the manicurist of the.
Yeah.
Of the
You're
the
looking at
field,
him.
So
You're
that's
looking at an A-class gardener.
That's it.
So
that's what I'm going to be doing, because really I haven't been out to the field since we were flying. So it's been a month, and with all the rain we've been getting here, I'm just
it's a jungle out there.
going to get some goats, have them go at it first.
Good
and then
idea.
Get the mower.
Yeah. Get some goats and have them eat.
Break those llamas out.
That's right.
I said, what about Mike? Is he other than flying with you?
He's going to fly with me for a little bit longer, I think.
Oh, okay.
We got some
All
stuff.
right. Well,
planned.
we'll probably be talking about that a little later.
Yeah. I got the wings back on my big gasser, so we're going to go out and try that out again.
Oh boy.
Shenanigans.
Yep, we're going to get in the shenanigan world.
I think you need video.
We might be able to put some video on there.
Sure.
We'll definitely put it on our listeners.
Yeah, just stick a run cam right on the top of your hat and go for it.
There you go. And then I can hear Philip talk about how crappy the video
Well, actually,
is.
that plane is so big, it might be all right.
The plane's beautiful, but the video sucks.
I know,
Screw
right?
these guys.
The first 30 seconds of looking at the airplane worked great.
Well, as big as that
Back
plane
and
is, it
around.
might actually be okay.
Yeah, 106 inches. So, yeah, you're right. Maybe if I can keep it in close enough and not get too lost. But we'll see what we can do and put some footage up there. So that'll be fantastic. Well, guys, that wraps it up for tonight, man. Holy smokes. Time's just flying.
Absolutely.
Summertime's around the corner. Oh, by the way, you know what we didn't say today?
What did we
Happy
say?
birthday to Mike. This podcast comes out on his birthday.
On your
Really?
birthday.
No, on your birthday.
No, on your birthday.
On your birthday, too.
No, on your birthday.
Are you twins?
We both have a
separated
birthday
birth?
when this. Yep. we're brothers. So, yes, happy birthday to Mike.
Well, happy birthday, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy
Why, thank
birthday.
you.
Happy birthday, Mike. Exactly.
Hope you
It
get
is
all-
our birthday. It's this podcast is comes out on the 14th of May, and that is our birthday. So while you're listening to the podcast, we're going to be out flying, enjoying our birthdays. But Mike and I share the same birthday on the 14th, so we'll definitely.
How convenient.
Yeah, it's kind of convenient. I meant to mention that at the front of the first of the podcast, but I was so excited to have Philip on, I totally spaced the fact that I'm getting older.
It's probably smart.
It's
And
probably
more
smart.
forgetful.
Luckily
obviously.
for me, Mike is a little bit older than me, so yeah, even though we share birthdays, I'm still the younger, better looking guy.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. Well, you're definitely the more redder guy. That's for
I'm
sure.
definitely more sunburned guy.
Mike looks a normal
Yeah.
tone as opposed to
Yeah.
your lobsterish
I know,
tone
right?
on you.
Yeah,
I mean, you look delicious. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you look like you're done.
Yeah, no,
I mean-
I was. I got a lot of sun yesterday.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
flew a lot.
Yeah, you were outside a long time.
And I think we all four share a similar hairline, so nobody has the advantage.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Yes,
like
we
that,
do.
right?
Yep, that high forehead. So good. Yeah, Thanks a lot for pointing that out, Philip. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I always thought it meant that my brain was bigger. Are you saying it's different?
that is no.
Oh.
I think it is that our brains are bigger. So there you go, Philip. We all got something going for us.
Yes.
So. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast tonight. We really appreciate your time, and it's great to have you on. So for Michael here in Arizona,
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas, in Arizona?
I know, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the ParkFlyer podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.